And it is just the story that won't go away. No matter what happens, no matter who says what, it is the story that will not go away. It is the story that I think, barring a miracle of the Suns going on an improbable playoff run, and I say that because the team is below 500 and not in a playoff spot today. And I'm not just saying get into the play-in tournament. I'm talking win a series. That feels like such a tall task today. So unless that happens, the conversations around Kevin Durant and his future with the Phoenix Suns are not going anywhere. And it doesn't help when you have a top NBA insider go on Get Up yesterday and say, quote, he's probably going to get traded this summer. He knows it. The Suns know it. The rest of the league knows it. They're going to enjoy him while they have him. It's not really controversial, in all honesty. They're under 500. They have a $230 million payroll, then add over $100 million on tax on top of that, end quote. You know who that is? That's Brian Windhorst yesterday on Get Up. He knows it. They know it. The league knows it. That's what Brian Windhorst said yesterday about Kevin Durant's future, that he is as good as gone. These final 28 games will be the final 28 times that Kevin Durant suits up for the Phoenix Suns. I saw a story that listed the Rockets and the Grizzlies and the Heat and the Timberwolves as potential landing spots for Kevin Durant. It's already starting of where he might go in the summer when the Suns decide to move on from him. We are on the spectrum closer to a Kevin Durant trade than we are to a Kevin Durant extension. Think about where we are now to where we would have been at the beginning of the year. You would have said we are all the way on the other side towards a Kevin Durant extension. Times change, and they change very quickly. There was a story that I read this morning in The Athletic from their T-Wolves reporter, or he was on a podcast, talking about how the Timberwolves did check in on Kevin Durant, and they had conversations that obviously didn't go anywhere, but the reporter said, hey, that might lead towards conversations in the summer. They kind of set the framework now for what a deal might look like in the summer. This isn't going away. Every single day, every single game moves us closer to this becoming a reality, and the noise is only going to continue to grow louder and louder, especially if the results continue to follow what we saw this week. Now, I gave the Suns all the credit in the world to start the show that I thought they showed some fight this week, but they still lost both games. And so after a while, those losses, if they continue to stack up, the noise is just going to continue to grow and grow. If they win and the focus is on the basketball, then maybe they can manage the noise a little bit. We've said that this week here on the show. But if they continue to lose, it's just going to continue to bubble up. And then it's going to become so out of control that it dominates the conversation. And we're kind of there. Get Up yesterday talking about this. It's not a story that's just going to quietly go away. Now, it also doesn't help when you have quotes coming out of the Miami side of things that paint Matt Ishbia in a not so great light. So Dan Le Batard on his show down in Miami covers the Miami Heat, has a good relationship, a decent relationship with Pat Riley, and I don't want you to forget that point here because I think it matters. But on his show yesterday, talked about how difficult it was for the Heat to deal with Matt Ishbia. And Le Batard said that the people that he talked to said that Ishbia was a nightmare, that he was doing things poorly. I'll read you the quote from his show. Quote, I will tell you after the Heat dealt with the Suns, Ishbia is a nightmare. The guy who owns the Suns trying to play general manager is making a mess of things as the rich person in charge of everything and wants to run his team and is doing so poorly as an amateur rich guy with toys and doesn't know that you don't try and make a trade for Jimmy Butler and just ruin everything by informing your superstar who came to be with you through means that aren't direct that he's going to be traded like that's a poison. You can't have that, and I wouldn't be surprised if Kevin Durant left after this season, end quote. Now, again, Le Batard has a good relationship with Pat Riley. Interviewed Pat Riley for his show a couple of weeks ago. He has covered the Heat, has covered Riley for a very long time. There's an existing relationship there. So you have to put that context out there. This could be the Heat trying to do some nice PR, and they gave a story to a guy who has been there for a really long time. And so this could be from the Heat side of things. It's very likely that this is from the Heat side of things. But ask yourself, does it surprise you? Did anything I read in that quote from Le Batard talking about how you handled the Jimmy Butler thing poorly, Ishbia is a nightmare, he's the rich person in charge, but is doing it poorly, and didn't tell Kevin Durant, and just has been a mess from the word go. Is any of that surprising? Is any of that different from what we have heard about Matt Ishbia in the past? Because there's more here. Le Batard went on to say that in these dealings that the Suns basically asked for the entire Heat team, that it wasn't just one or two young players, that they wanted basically everybody. Le Batard described it as the deal not even being close between the two sides. It was never close. The ask was apparently, quote, our entire team. Does any of it surprise you? Is any of what I am describing to you about the way that Matt Ishbia might have handled himself at the trade deadline or so far as the owner of the Phoenix Suns, does any of it surprise you? Is any of it counter to the way we have seen the Suns operate so far? Immediately trading for Kevin Durant the moment you become the owner. That summer, trading for Bradley Beal. Spending all of this money, having a tax bill or a total team bill of over $400 million. Something we have never seen a team do in the NBA, and it's not working. Just spending and spending and spending and not make bad decision after bad decision that has led to this moment where you have a team that might have to trade Kevin Durant this summer, is on track to trade Kevin Durant this summer, and admit that this entire thing was a failure. One series win, one series sweep, never getting close to the NBA Finals, never getting close to winning the Western Conference, not anywhere close. To me, this confirms all of our worst fears about the Suns in their front office. It confirms all of my worst fears, because I think if this team peters out the way it's trending right now, then I think you have to make wholesale changes with players. You have to make wholesale changes with coaches again. You have to make wholesale changes in the front office. But at the end of the day, the thing that scares me the most is that you can do all of that, and yet the person who is behind everything that we are watching on a nightly basis is still going to be the person in charge and with the final say. It's my biggest fear. We talked about this with the Draymond Green stuff, right? When Draymond Green's name was linked to a potential deal that would have sent Kevin Durant to Golden State, I said this would confirm my worst fear about Matt Ishbia not knowing what he's doing. These stories, these quotes that I'm reading to you today, also confirm that fear. And it's that fear that makes me worried that they're not going to handle the KD situation right on the way out. That they are not going to maximize the one asset that they have that could expedite a retool. That you can change the players, that you can change the coaches, you can change the front office executives, but at the end of the day, the guy signing the checks, the guy making all of the important decisions is still Matt Ishbia, and Matt Ishbia's track record is one that is not very good. That's my fear. That is the concern that I have with the Phoenix Suns right now, is that all of the changes that I think we are all open to seeing, I think at this point, we're all open to seeing Kevin Durant get traded. I think we realize that this hasn't worked, that you have to change course, and really the only way to change course is to trade Kevin Durant. I think we're all in agreement on that, right? I think we all understand that that's the best course of action. I think we would understand if Mike Budenholzer isn't the right coach to oversee a 2 or 3 year retool, right? So a coach change, I think, is something we could get on board with. I don't think there's going to be any complaints if there's changes in the front office. I think we all could get on board with all those things. I think we could all understand that those are good decisions for the long-term health of this organization. But none of it matters if I still have all of these concerns and all of these questions about Matt Ishbia. Kevin Durant's relationship with the Phoenix Suns appears to be over. You have national media members talking about it like it's a fait accompli, like it is the hay's in the barn. There is zero way for these two to get back together and for Kevin Durant to be on the team next year. He's under contract with the Suns next year. And people are talking about landing spots: Houston, Memphis, Minnesota, Miami. The exit strategy is being planned in front of our eyes. Does that relationship feel like it's going to be fixed over the final 28 games? And whose fault is it that the relationship soured? It's the guy who still might be in charge, despite all the changes that we might see come this offseason and changes that we would welcome. I would welcome all those changes with open arms. But if the guy at the top is still the same guy, if the guy at the top is still going to make the same mistakes, if he's not going to learn, listen, it's bad the way they handled the Kevin Durant situation. But if they learn from it, if they adjust from it, then okay. Peace. I can be okay with that. You made a mistake, but you learn from it. You're a young owner. You're new to this. You're new to the game. You've only been doing this for a couple of years. I expect you, what's the phrase? You got to break a few eggs to make an omelet. Oh, I expect you to kind of mess around for a while. You're going to smash some stuff. Stuff's going to get broken. I can live with that as long as you learn from it. But if you're going to make all these changes, if you're going to trade Kevin Durant and yet the status quo is still going to stay the same and it's still the same guy making the same blunders over and over and over again, then let's face it, nothing is going to change. Then Devin Booker's relationship is the next one that we will be paying attention to. His future is the next one that we will be paying attention to. The franchise all-time leading scorer might be out the door if you didn't learn from the way you handled this current era of Phoenix Suns basketball.